Hey guys!
What's up?
My name is 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀.
My name's Ben.
We are back with a new video entitled
𝗀𝗿𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗀
Sunway.
For anyone who's new to Monash, if you want to get around more, we will be taking you around the hotspots, right?
Get your cameras ready.
Let's
go!
go.
So guys, we are at 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀𝗵𝗁. If you want to get your 10K steps, this is the way to travel.
Alright, so welcome to the BRT. We're here at a station. So the BRT basically takes you around Sunway City.
You can use your touch and go card, IC, Rapid KL card, or even tokens that they provide at machines. It's actually a very efficient way to travel around the Sunway City.
So we just got off, and right behind you see over there is Sunway Medical Center.
But of course, we don't want you here often because it's a medical center.
For sure,
So stay safe, stay hydrated, and we'll see you at the next checkpoint.
Alright, sure.
Let's go. So we are here at Sunway Geo Avenue.
So Sunway Geo is kind of like a mall, but not really. You can have food here, there's restaurants here, grocery shopping, you can do that here as well.
You can take the BRT from Monash to Sunway Geo within like 2 to 3 minutes.
And right now we're here in Rock Cafe. Yes.
Exactly. So you can find almost anything and everything here in Rock Cafe. Please come here during your long breaks and try to explore yourself.
There's so many types of cuisines for you to enjoy here at Rock Cafe, as well as next door,
𝗀𝗏𝗃.
It's a mama. It's a Malay Indian fusion type of cuisine. So please explore your taste buds and explore the various kinds of cuisines we have to offer here in Sunway City. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the final stop of the 𝗀𝗏𝗃 Sunway tour. We are in Sunway Pyramid.
And for Monash students, it's about 5 to 10 minutes from
The
Monash.
BRT?
There are actually a lot of things that they can find here.
Arcades, the archery range, we've got bowling, we've got cinemas, we've got so many things to do here, honestly, we can't even count. If you want to find out, come here for yourself. Alright, so we're back. We really hope everyone enjoyed the video.
So for the very last time, this is 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀
This is Ben.
signing off.
Hi guys, welcome back to another day of Dota 2 streaming. We'll be your casters for today. I'm Sean.
I'm Zach.
And today we'll be hosting a scrim between Leviathan A and Manticore A. So before we proceed, I'd first like to thank our host for this event, Clubs and Societies of Monash University, Malaysia, in partnership with IRL Asia. And as well, I would like to thank our sponsors for today, RealMe and Gamers Hideout. Big shout out to them. So previously we've seen a scrim between Leviathan A and Manticore A, whereby Leviathan A actually won 2-0 in the previous scrim. So Zach, what do you think is going to happen today in our best of one?
Well, I hope we see something different today. Previously, we saw Leviathan get a pretty easy 2-0 victory against Manticore. The first game was like 33 minutes, the second game was barely longer than that. And both times, we did see sort of the same story in terms of how Leviathan played their game, but in the second game, Manticore did play a whole lot better, and perhaps they might be able to, if they can take something away from that and they execute it well this game, they have a chance. They might be able to take a game against Leviathan.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I really want to see Manticore A try and pull something off this game to try and regain their losses, and let's see what they've done so far.
Just a slight recap on the game last week. Last week we had both of the games where Leviathan was playing a very coordinated style. They were playing very well. They were very good with their timing. And what happened on the two games last week was that Manticore played were a little bit poor to execute their game plan. They had a lot of timings. They had a lot of times where they could have made a smoke play, where they had an item. They were ready to take fights. They were ready to get back into the game. Maybe they even had an edge in the early game, getting more kills before the 10-minute mark, and they could make something happen, but they were always falling short on that. Meanwhile, Leviathan was always ready to make those kind of plays, and even later in the game, whenever they had an advantage, they never threw away their advantage. They were always very disciplined about their play style. They would take Roshan when they needed to. They would go back from the tier 3 siege. So they played very disciplined, and they pretty much never. It was hard to see a potential for Manticore to sort of like come back into the game because of how disciplined Leviathan was playing, and they were giving zero opportunity for Manticore to get big pickoffs onto any of Leviathan's post 1 or post 2. So hopefully we see something different this game, and a slightly more competitive game, I suppose, between Manticore A, and just better timings in terms of their execution. So the pick phase has begun, and the bans are already coming out.
Radiant team pick.
Leviathan A looks like they might be pulling off the same strat as before, banning all the post 1 carries, and Manticore having a diverse ban pick.
So that's the Lycan and the Lion. The Lycan was, I think, played in the first game of the series last week. Leviathan picked Lycan mid.
10 seconds remaining.
And yeah, Leviathan's opening bans are, I think it might have actually also been the same last week, banning out that Luna. The Gyrocopter was played by Manticore last week, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's not forget, the Gyro went for a pretty, I would say, not a very responsible item.
Yeah.
His first big item was Aghanim's in the game that they were confident that they had the early game, but because of the turnarounds, that item just turned out to be not so helpful.
So I think this is also another hero that they previously played, the 𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗀, which they played on the off lane as a position 4. So definitely a good pairing with a posture hero to be able to just slow down and to be able to control the lane.
5 seconds remaining.
We'll see how Manticore responds with their opening pick. Ancient Apparition, typical counter to the 𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗀.
So what do you think in terms of the speed of the game for today? Do you think Leviathan's going to try and run them down as much as they did last two games?
Well, I think that seems to be what they might be going for. The picks and bans seem to be pretty similar. I'm sure Leviathan is also comfortable with their play style. So these two teams have experience already playing an entire series against each other. So perhaps they may intend to just try to, that's what Leviathan would want to do, right? They would want to just play the same game they have played before, because they know the winning strategy, so to speak, against Manticore. Alright, two new heroes coming out. We see the Sven on the side of Manticore. We haven't seen them play this yet, and Leviathan A as well, picking the Spirit Breaker. So, pretty good roam potential. I'm not sure how they're going to play this Spirit Breaker, whether they're going to put it on the...
10 seconds remaining.
I suppose it's going to be an off-lane Spirit Breaker.
Perhaps.
Remaining.
If they were to do something a little bit more cheeky, like a position 4 Spirit Breaker and Abaddon as 5, that might also work, and just having the Spirit Breaker be able to roam.
Yeah.
But what do you think of the Sven as an opening pick together with the Ancient Apparition?
I think opening with a Sven is a bit risky because now you're opening yourself to a few counters for your Sven.
Yeah.
But in general, Sven is a good hero for this matchup, for now. Its farming potential is very high, and against the Spirit Breaker, he can possibly stun him before it reaches him. So it's good for protecting him against it.
Leviathan A dipping into the reserve time. Still looking for the third ban. Probably going to be another carry. Oh no, it's a Kotal. Okay. So Keeper of the Light ban. Not sure if this is if there's something they plan on doing with it. Some synergy with a pick that may come later. So far, last week, Leviathan A in both of their games has been pretty much exclusively banning position 1s or in some position 2s. So seeing a pos 5 being banned is new.
Or maybe it's possible that Leviathan have been preparing to... Oh, no, sorry. Maybe they've seen like 𝗀𝗿𝗵𝗁. Have you seen a 𝗀𝗁𝗵𝗁?
I'm not sure I want to see a 𝗀𝗿𝗵𝗁.
𝗀𝗁𝗵𝗁, honestly, it's very good for farming up the early game. So you pretty much just max out your first skill, get a Dagon, and just run to other lanes and help out, because that is insane magic damage right there.
True, I suppose that will work, but you'd have to end super quick.
Yeah.
You don't want your late game pos 2 𝗀𝗿𝗵𝗁. So Manticore A banning out the 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗏, which would have been a good hero to just bring down Sven's armor, a little bit easier to take him down, especially with the Warcry. Meanwhile, Leviathan A.
Radiant team ban.
Fourth ban was the Shadow Demon.
Don't really see what they're up to here.
Not sure what their play is here. They're definitely more keen on banning position 5 now.
10 seconds.
Which is also strange considering Ancient Apparition is already picked on the side of Manticore A.
Remaining.
If Manticore A is just going to put the Ancient Apparition as a 5, then I'm not sure why ban more 5s. But we'll see what these two teams are trying to do right now.
So in the last 2 games, I think we've seen Manticore A pick Tinker for their mid. What do you think about that?
I think the Tinker in the previous series was actually pretty good. It was just a matter of timing that made it fall short. I think we specifically remember the Tinker getting an early blink together with maxed out laser and missiles. So the Tinker had probably the most potential to be able to make something happen on the side of Manticore A. But I think they were just playing a little bit too passively. They didn't take advantage of their position in that game at that time. And because of that, they just kind of fell short as Leviathan were able to turn around.
Do you think it's possible that they might be considering a Tinker mid again? Because maybe it's one of their comfort heroes.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea. I think they definitely know how to play it. I don't remember which their mid player was, but he definitely was able to play the hero well. I think it was just the team's coordination that fell a bit short. So I would like to see it again.
But with a Spirit Breaker on the other side, do you still think it might be a wise decision if they pick a Tinker?
I think Spirit Breaker is obviously an obvious counter to a Tinker in a way, but it also depends on whether Manticore A has the appropriate supports to respond to a charge on the Tinker. Because if they do, then it's going to be a dead Spirit Breaker instead of a dead Tinker. And well, now with the Ancient Apparition to begin with, but now also the Vengeful Spirit, depending on where the charge is happening, I mean Ancient Apparition being able to respond globally with his ultimate. And if the Vengeful Spirit is just nearby in the area, being able to swap out the Tinker and then just bring down the Spirit Breaker.
10 seconds remaining.
I mean, there's definitely synergy here, but speaking of the Vengeful Spirit, so not sure how they plan on playing this Vengeful Spirit. Is Vengeful 2 still a thing, or is it a 4 or 5?
Well, I haven't seen Vengeful 2 for a while, but I know it's still possible.
Sorry, they used to play 1, right? Yeah, they used to play 1,
2.
But it's not going to be a 1-man versus Sven, so I guess it's 4 or 5.
10 seconds.
So 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗂𝗵𝗁 on Leviathan could make a play for the Spirit Breaker charge and a vacuum combo.
5 seconds remaining.
So a pos 1 and a pos 2 to be picked by Leviathan, and they will... They pick a Tusk, alright. So
𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗀 carry?
It could be. It could be. Okay, so the lanes are a little bit weird, but putting the 𝗀𝗏𝗀 with the Tusk would be a very aggressive lane. I mean, if they were to play...
10 seconds remaining.
But no, that wouldn't...
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I guess
So far we've seen like Leviathan just have some very random picks, but it always turns out fine for them.
Yeah. I don't remember what they did in game 2 last week, but I remember it was weird and they somehow pulled it off. But yeah, I suppose if they play 𝗀𝗏𝗀 as a 1 and then a Tusk as a 5, it would be a very aggressive safe lane. But against a 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗀, I guess it doesn't really matter because 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗀 is just going to swashbuckle out.
10 seconds remaining.
It'll be interesting to see how both of these teams decide to structure their lanes. I guess Manticore's is quite a lot more obvious, but Leviathan's lineup is pretty strange.
Leviathan has a very heavy physical lineup, and Manticore has a very somewhat balanced lineup, I would say, between magical and physical damage.
I think even last week, for the most part, I tended to prefer Manticore's picks, but they were always losing to Leviathan. We see the 𝗏𝗏 was actually banned out by Leviathan. I think that was a good ban. Just a control hero with silence. That would have been something that Manticore A would have wanted.
Especially with the coil from 𝗏𝗏. Stops a few heroes from escaping that, especially the 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗃, Spirit Breaker, and the Tusk. You can't really get out of that, right?
Radiant team ban.
See, Manticore banning up post 1.
Yeah, I guess, well, in that case, they're expecting one of Leviathan A's heroes to be a mid. Which would that be? The Tusk, I guess. I guess the Tusk makes more sense to be a mid, but even then it's kind of a stretch.
Yeah.
5 seconds remaining.
Do you think we're ever going to be seeing a 𝗵𝗶 here? I really love 𝗵𝗶, honestly.
I doubt we will see a 𝗵𝗶 by nature of people not playing 𝗵𝗶, but I think 𝗵𝗶, you probably wouldn't want to play it against Spam, AA, 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗀, this kind of thing, yeah, so I think this isn't a 𝗵𝗶 game, even if they wanted to. Perhaps Manticore A could actually play it. It would be better on Manticore's side, but we'll see if they... we'll hope that they
Dire team ban.
are that bold. Alright, they banned the 𝗀𝗵𝗀𝗀, so...
Yeah, Manticore A does look a bit squishy right now, except for the Sven.
Yeah, but I'm not sure whether they perhaps they were just expecting a 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗀 mid. I mean, or don't want to play against a 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗀 mid.
10 seconds.
Yeah, I guess it's more so the fact that they can't bring down a 𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗀.
Yeah.
5 seconds remaining.
And maybe they know something we don't about Manticore's 𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗀. So
I think Leviathan might like to try for an Invoker here.
Yeah,
Vacuum into Sunstrike.
I would think it's a post 2 that needs to be banned, not a 1. So we'll see what Manticore bans though, because I'm not sure if Manticore is expecting a position 1, which is why they banned the Lifestealer. But I would think Leviathan is going to pick a 2, and they would want to ban a 2 right now.
Yeah.
Like you said, Invokers might be a good pick. But perhaps something
with better roaming capabilities, maybe?
They probably want a melee hero. Yeah, Lina's. Yeah, something that can handle the strength from Sven. And able to bring him down. Something that has armor reduction.
10 seconds remaining.
They opt to go for magic, but I just don't
5
think they
seconds remaining.
have enough physical damage as it is with these 4 heroes right now
On Manticore?
on Leviathan. Manticore has a stun, so
Yeah.
they wouldn't have trouble hitting. But Leviathan, I mean, I guess it's the Tusk out and then 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗀, but depending on how they play the 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗀 as a position 1 can obviously hit, but it won't hit as well as
a Sven.
Yeah, as a Sven or other post 1s.
I think if Leviathan A really take control of the Sven in early game, they will have a better chance of winning the game.
And they do decide to go for an 𝗀𝗏𝗃. I guess that is a good hero to be able to bring down the Sven. Having the Fury swipes to stack up that additional stackable damage.
Also, the status resistance against 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗀's passive, his disarm. That would work very well as well.
10 seconds remaining.
But who do you think would be Leviathan's mid with this current lineup?
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, so this is a strange one. Okay, perhaps I'm not up to date with the meta, but
You may now select your
before this,
heroes.
I would definitely be quite surprised trying to imagine what Leviathan A was going to pick. But yeah, we do see Manticore bring out the Outworld Destroyer now, no longer Devourer, which is one of my favorite heroes. I've always liked playing OD. I'm not sure what the current meta is with OD. I think OD builds Meteor Hammer now. Does it still build
Yeah,
Meteor
still
Hammer?
builds Beam Hammer.
Yeah, before this, I was always a fan of just like rushing Hurricane fight. But yeah, have to adapt to the trends, I guess.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the draft?
I think, okay, for Manticore's last pick, the Outworld Devourer, Outworld Destroyer now, I think it's a very good pick against Leviathan because of their hero pool. As we can see, the hero pool is all strength heroes, and the mana difference is very, very high. There's a big gap in the mana difference, and I think that the Outworld Devourer will probably perform very well in this game.
Yeah, I think the OD was definitely a very nice pick to see, being able to have that control with the Astral. And their overall lineup, it just seems superior to me. The pure damage from OD, the control, the ult, and then as well as just having that spend as well. It just seems like a more legitimate lineup in my opinion. Meanwhile, Manticore does seem a little bit. Wait, is it Switch?
No, it's correct. It's correct.
Manticore was
Dire.
right? Yeah. So I think Manticore is actually on the dire side.
Oh yeah,
So,
it's
yeah.
switched
So-
now.
But yeah, so I think Manticore has the better lineup.
Wait a minute.
It's more well-rounded. Leviathan was the one picking the stranger picks, and they're the ones on the radiant side.
So quick toilet break there from one of the players on the Leviathan team.
And let's see how they play these lanes. The Spirit Breaker obviously. Not sure what it's going to be.
Spirit Breaker post 2 possibly.
Oh, actually.
A mid Spirit Breaker now, that is interesting. Against an Outworld Devourer. What are the odds that the Spirit Breaker actually can control the lane
I
well?
think it's impossible. I frankly just think it's impossible. I don't see how a Spirit Breaker could possibly win against an OD. OD just having, whether he decides to go Q or whether he decides to go W, either way is going to be pushing that Spirit Breaker out of lane. I don't see how you can play a mid Spirit Breaker, especially against an OD like this. So it looks like Leviathan is trying to go for a smoke play, already going up into the radiant triangle.
30
No 5 men
seconds to
smoke
battle.
So it seems like Leviathan is already up to one of their antiques.
Manticore coming out on the dark field, the dark field, asking them not to gank and being the first one to be initiated upon, but it looks like he will be able to get back and they will decide to go for a team fight right now. Go there, probably the first fall of the task, getting pretty low at the instant average, most of the first kill. But in return, we are able to bring down the Vengeful Spirit. So currently a 1-for-1 trade, ancient apparition.
4-man stun.
A 4-man stun from the Sven, able to stop the pursuit from the side of Manticore.
I think Manticore is going to be able to secure at least 3 rooms from this.
Well, relatively uneven trade, so probably not too worried about that.
Yeah, so that confirms our suspicions of a Spirit Breaker mid against an OD.
But Leviathan does get the first blood bringing down the stun, so I suppose that's to their benefit. But
Manticore get the first blood.
was it Leviathan bringing down the stun?
No, just the tags was the tags were switched.
Tusk fell first, right?
Yeah, Tusk fell.
And Tusk is Manticore, right?
Tusk is Leviathan. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was just switched. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I was looking at, yeah. It looks like they will break off initially an attempted play by the Sven as well, the ancient apparition, getting the frost out on the Tusk, but they will.
It looks like the 𝗀𝗿𝗂𝗂𝗏 is trying to force out the lane as much as he can. And it looks like he's solo for a bit. Tusk roaming around, coming back in the lane. And at bottom lane we have 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏 and an Abaddon. So nothing much going on in the lanes, both teams just farming. Let's take a look at mid. Let's see how the Spirit Breaker is actually holding up against the 𝗀𝗿𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀.
It looks like a little attempt on the 𝗀𝗿𝗶𝗀𝗀 there, and the 𝗀𝗿𝗶𝗀𝗀 not having the mana to swashbuckle. I'm not sure if he just used it.
Quick pause on the game for a bit.
Perhaps I'd like to take a look at mid, if we can, and just see what the last hits and denies are looking like right now.
Yeah, looks like the Spirit Breaker and the 𝗀𝗿𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀 are having almost equal farm in lane. 7 last hits on the Spirit Breaker and 9 on the 𝗀𝗿𝗶𝗀. I would say he's holding up pretty well for now.
Yeah, I think that's just for now. It's probably going to be, it's probably going to change pretty quick, just by.
Once the OD gets more levels, especially in his first or second skill, he can start being more active, more aggressive towards the Spirit Breaker.
Yeah, I personally don't see how a Spirit Breaker should be able to win against an OD.
Yeah, especially with his second skill taking away the Spirit Breaker's mana. Eventually he won't even have enough mana to charge at other lanes if he wants to.
But right now he is doing really, really well. He's pretty much trading completely evenly. In fact, better
Dire's
than
middle
the
tower
OD,
is
which
under attack.
doesn't really make sense. It looks like the 𝗀𝗏𝗀 in a little bit of trouble here, but the stun coming out as well, and they will be able to bring him down. So the position 1 on the side of Leviathan actually falling to the off lane on the side of Manticore. A good kill being picked up by Manticore there, slowing down the farm of the 𝗀𝗏𝗀. I think with the way Leviathan plays and the way they really understand the game, it's definitely good to be able to do something and to be able to prohibit the 𝗀𝗏𝗀 from being able to get a strong early game, because they will know when and their timings to be able to sneak that Roshan and stuff like that. So just being able to hold him down, stop him from getting a free lane.
Yeah.
And they're doing a good job at that, considering also that it is a difficult lineup to play against the 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗀𝗀.
Got it.
But 𝗀𝗏𝗀 and 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗀, I think they make a good combo, especially against the Venge and the 𝗀𝗀𝗀, because let's say he gets disarmed while he's like chasing down the 𝗀𝗀𝗀. 𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 can just second skill and what's it called? What's the word for it?
Purge.
Purge, yes, purge the disarm, and he can continue chasing him down.
Or the debuff, whatever. Purge.
Purge it, yeah.
So 𝗀 currently leading on the CS chart, so seems to be having a pretty good lane, which is what you'd expect with an Ancient Apparition laning with you. And the stun as well as the Frozen Feet combo, being able to stun the Darkseer, and they will be able to bring him down. The Tusk trying to trade with the 𝗀, but do you really want to trade with the 𝗀, especially with the Warcry on? But the Tusk will decide to walk away. And it will just be a single pick-off on the Darkseer, so a good pickup though, just
Radiant's
to cement their
middle
presence in
tower
the
is
lane,
under attack.
but lane that was probably going to go the way of Manticore anyway. So the way it seems to me, it looks like Manticore would pretty much win all lanes. Right now they're pretty much even on mid, but besides that, top and bottom seems to, so far,
Be in their favor, yeah.
at the 5-minute mark, be in the favor of Manticore, which is what I'd like to see, I guess, after what we saw last week. So hopefully Manticore is able to Spirit Breaker charging just to get that CS on the range creep.
I'm surprised the OD didn't second skill it there to prevent that, but it's fine.
I think it's just more aggressive than buying clarity. The Tusk trying to make a dive on the 𝗀, but he might lose his life in return. They are actually able to bring down
Radiant
the
structures
𝗀,
are
and the Darkseer might try to go for more. The Ancient Apparition
Dire's
trying to
top
hide in the
tower
trees.
is under attack.
Pretty low, but they will decide to cut off pursuit, and because of that, the 𝗀 will be the sole one to fall, which is not something that Manticore will want to be happening.
I think early game Darkseer's Ion Shell does a lot of damage, especially to heroes with low magical resistance. And since you don't really have any items for that in the early game, I think it's a very strong laning hero.
Yeah, I mean, Abaddon combined with the Tusk as well, it's just two heroes. They are very difficult to lane against, they synergize very well. Although Manticore does also have that 𝗀 Ancient Apparition synergy, as we saw earlier with the Frozen Feet, Freezing Feet, and the Stormhammer.
So Meteor Hammer for the first buy on the OD. I guess it's going to be a typical meme hammer OD. But in all honesty, it's a pretty good setup. Let's start trying to pull out some scare tactics here, I think.
Like I was saying earlier, mid, I think the OD should have, might have just wanted to hold a thought. It looks like they are going to try to make a play on that OD. OD probably going to fall right now to the gank, coming from the Tusk together with the Spirit Breaker as well. But the Spirit Breaker is pretty low, and OD is able to dish out a lot of damage in a short amount of time. But he doesn't have the Q, but he does have his ultimate. I'm not sure if he will be able to bring down the Spirit Breaker. Pretty close to falling. A TP response coming up from the Asian apparition, and because of that, they will be able to turn it around. The Astral as well, being able to hold the Tusk in place, and they should be able to get 2 kills in exchange. One more hit, and down goes the Tusk.
Radiant's
The turn
middle
around, the
tower is
gank
under
attempted
attack.
from the side of Leviathan, but with the response and having the ultimate as well on the side of the 𝗀𝗿𝗶𝗀𝗵𝗁, they will be able to get a 2-for-0 trade. So OD having a much better lane right now. The Meteor Hammer already complete and the boots already coming.
I think Manticore overstepped that one a bit. They want to go for the OD, but they lack the damage.
I think as soon as the pause came out and we saw that the OD still had his ultimate, it was kind of like, oh no, what's going to happen now? Is he going to pop his ultimate and then Astral himself? Because even if he does that, like players on the side of Manticore could TP out and they would be able to support him. So like either way, it was starting to look a little bit difficult there. And either way, Leviathan had committed too far as soon as they charged to the dire side of the river. So the Sven able to get a 2-man stun and walk it off. I think that was an initiation attempt from the Tusk as well as the 𝗀𝗍𝗂. They are playing a lot more aggressive right now, but it looks like a TP is coming out. The Spirit Breaker as well, charging the Sven. They're going to try to bring him down. He will retreat into the trees, the freezing feet. The Spirit Breaker is able to escape. The Meteor Hammer barely misses and the Tusk is able to roll out of it. Will they be able to get that kill on the Sven? The Ice Shards able to catch that Sven in the trees. A few more hits and they should be able to bring him down, and they do manage to get that kill on the Sven, which makes it worth it if they aren't able to get out of there. But the 𝗀𝗍𝗂 probably going to be the next one to solve. The Vengeful Spirit picking up the kill, which makes it become a 2-for-1 trade. The Spirit Breaker will be able to go back, but they do spot out. It's just a 2 stack
top tower
in the
is under
dire jungle,
attack.
so probably not going to attempt to steal it. So 2-for-1 trade since we saw the Tusk and the 𝗀𝗍𝗂 fall, right?
Yeah.
They were able to bring down the Sven at least. I'm not sure what the Sven is building right now. Going for an Echo Saber, the Mask of Madness already complete. So didn't go for a greedier build with a Midas or something like that.
Yeah.
So he should be able to want to be fighting. He just popped the God Strength farm, but the Spirit Breaker charge seems to be coming out right now and they are going to make an attempt. The 𝗀𝗍𝗂 and Tusk already ready. Initiation from the Snowball. The stun from Spirit Breaker seems to follow. Does he have the ultimate charge? Greater dash, holding it in place, and we will be able to get another pick off from the Sven. God's Strength being used as well, and only being able to farm a single hard camp. So, not looking good for Manticore right now. Their most farmed hero, the most farmed hero in the game, falling twice in a
Dire's
row.
top tower is under attack. Dire's
Leviathan
structures are fortified.
being able to execute well again. I mean, this is pretty much synonymous with them right now.
So far, we haven't seen any moves from 𝗀𝗍𝗂 and 𝗂𝗏𝗀. They've just been in lane farming.
I think that's probably the best thing for them to do right now. But probably not anymore now that
Radiant's
Manticore
bottom tower is under attack.
is going for the tier 1 tower
Dire's
bottom.
top
He can
tower
handle being
is
used.
under
So
attack.
it's going to be a free tier 1. It looks like Leviathan aren't going to contest this. Maybe they will go for a tier 1 of their own over at top lane.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
I think it's just an initiation alone.
Someday
Just
we
started
take
bottom. Nothing much going on.
regeneration.
Over at top as well, just
Dire's top tower
a
has
tower
fallen.
trade.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
So 1-for-1 towers, both side jungles have been opened up. It looks like Leviathan right now are slowly building themselves up, building up their momentum. The game's still relatively even at the 10-minute mark, still less than a 1k net worth advantage on the side of Leviathan despite having fewer kills.
Yeah.
But definitely able to come online a lot quicker by having that mid Spirit Breaker hold somehow. I don't think he won mid. I mean, looking at the net worth chart as well, looks like the OD is doing better, but he did way better than I expected him to do. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Ideally, in a mid matchup, I think that if the OD had just focused on getting more mana in lane and just being able to spam out their skills, he might have been able to just hold this Spirit Breaker at bay, but it wasn't what was happening, and because of that, they had a relatively even lane. I think OD just edged out a little bit, and because of that, the Spirit Breaker now is pretty big and able to just get these charges and able to assist his team in getting these pickoffs.
Yeah. Also, we see the Spirit Breaker queuing up for an Academic Scepter for his first big item. And what do you think of that in the game? Honestly, it's just going to give him more movement speed, which means slightly higher damage. So, what do you think about it in this game? Does he really need it? It reduces cooldown as well as increases his movement speed.
So the fight that's going on right now, Spirit Breaker might be the only one to fall. It looks like the cast does initiate on them, so it looks like they will be trying to go for a 5-man team fight right now. The Spirit Breaker the first to fall. No, the Vengeful being the first to fall, but the Spirit Breaker, the significant kill. Well, it's just a 1-for-1 trade, but the Spirit Breaker probably doesn't want to be falling there, especially throwing away a little bit of the advantage right now, Manticore having the net worth advantage. You were saying, what the Academic Scepter do on Spirit Breaker?
Just a cooldown reduction and it used to give him a bit more movement speed, but apparently they changed that now. So basically now it just pierces magical immunity, so it makes it good against BKB heroes.
Right, so I guess that makes sense. It used to always pierce BKB, but anyway, we see the initiation being made on the Soul Owl Devourer mid, and it's only going to be the OD that falls. Hopefully they do decide to take this tier 1 tower, if they are able to.
So taking the tier 1 mid tower, I think it really opens up a bit of opportunities for them, especially with the 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗀 taking down.
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think getting this tier 1 tower right now is going to pay off dividends. Very significantly. They are going to make an attempt, a charge as well, for a snowball coming on the Ancient Apparition. I don't think they're going to come into this, they are going to come into this fight. So the strength is here, just stop with the God's strength. Trying to bring down the Spirit Breaker, but the Spirit Breaker, being a strength hero, able to tank a lot of the damage, he will eventually fall. Getting the pure damage from the Owl Devourer, the Tusk going to be the next one to fall. 2 down on the side of Leviathan right now. Manticore responding to that tier 1 attempt from the side of Leviathan, but the tier 1 will end up falling, so Leviathan will get what they came for. Manticore still in the area. Does get the Astral on the Dark Seal, but they will decide to break it off. Maybe they will try to get a tier 1 tower in return, which is exactly what they should be doing. The Meteor Hammer does hit the tier 1 tower, so more chip damage going to be coming out. It looks like a pick ball.
Yeah, it's a new tier 1 item, new tier 1 neutral item added into the game, which boosts your movement speed by a bit. On the downside, that it turns you into a pig.
Interesting. I thought someone on 40-minute hacks or something. Okay.
So it's now 14 minutes into the game. We should be seeing the 𝗀𝗏 trying to take Roche soon.
Does have that
Morbid Mask and the 𝗀𝗏𝗿𝗶𝗀 being
Morbid Mask.
Yeah.
Link Dagger being the second major item on the Owl Devourer, I think it's a good item. Personally, I'm a fan of going Hurricane Fight on Owl Devourer. That's an item I typically build on him. It's just sort of like traditional, that era back then when the meta was kind of to go Hurricane Fight. You go Hurricane Fight, you go Hex, and you go Moonshot, and then you're able to just beat down everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
But obviously the meta has changed, now people go Meteor Hammer. But when I play OD, I can just play the old meta version. It's just more fun.
Yeah, in a way. So it looks like Leviathan might be trying to pick a fight at top. Or maybe they're just warding around.
Not sure if anyone's holding a smoke. The Dark CS already revealed himself again, so a little bit of a... I think the Spirit Breaker trying to get a little bit of CS, so they just charge mid, but they are going to decide to go on him. I think they were probably afraid that his team was going to be there to support him because the Venge would have been able to hold him down, but they do let him go. So right now, still not a lot of fights going on. Not sure if the 𝗀𝗏𝗃 might decide to take the opportunity to go for Roshan. But right now, the 𝗀𝗏𝗃 happy to just farm in the Radiant side jungle for now.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Meanwhile, the Abaddon probably going to start to place some work here. Manticore already has an ops to be able to spot the Roshan attack if it's not small. Leviathan also having an ops.
Radiant's
in the
bottom
Dire side
tower
jungle.
is under attack.
Not in view of the Roche pit, but they would be able to see
Dire's
some.
top tower is under attack.
Astral coming out just on the Abaddon illusion, the Illu rune which was picked up earlier. So OD has completed
Radiant's
the Blink
bottom
Dagger,
tower
so they
is under
might
attack.
decide to take this opportunity right now to take some team fights. The Sven is leading on the network chart, probably the right time for him to do as well. The Spirit Breaker does use his ultimate, holding the Sven in place. They might be able to bring him down. The Tusk is already here. Two-man stun coming out. God Strength as well, giving so much damage. The Tusk does end up falling, but the Sven, with the Sven falling, that's pretty much the end of this team fight. Manticore might want to break it off right now. The Spirit Breaker is going for more. They do get the stun on the 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗏. Looks like they will try to continue this fight, actually getting off a big ultimate, bringing the Spirit Breaker. Really know the 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗏 going to be the next one to fall. The 𝗀𝗏𝗃 now trying to bring down the 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗏. And it looks like Manticore should have just decided to go back as soon as that Sven fell. The Ancient Apparition going to be the third man to fall, the OD soon to follow. The Vengeful Spirit, the only one left.
Much worse.
Will try to kite around, but he is going to be falling to the side of Leviathan. A bad fight all around for the side of Manticore. It was just unfortunate that the Sven was just caught off guard, and I think that was just, they should have just cut off their losses as soon as the Sven fell.
Yeah, and we've seen this kind of situation before in previous matches where Leviathan just wiped the whole enemy team and all of them survived. And that's exactly what happened here again.
Yeah, and it was actually also in the fault of the position one falling on the side of Manticore. It's been the same thing. It's also unfortunate that, I mean, the response heroes on the side of Manticore is not as good as having a Spirit Breaker, for instance. And I mean, Leviathan, it was pretty much spent farming the
Radiant's
Radiant
top
jungle,
tower is
getting
under
caught by
attack.
that.
Spirit Breaker.
By the Spirit Breaker first, and then the Tusk immediately following. Even though the Sven was able to get that two-man stun and just bring them down with the God Strike. SNY complete on the Sven, so perhaps he may be able to do a little bit better now. But the previous team fight was just unfortunate. I mean, the Sven fell really quickly. He didn't have any defensive items, so that's how the other he didn't have the God Strike. The God Strike will be coming in 5 more seconds, but it looks like the Astral spoiling the combination, the stun not being able to land from the Vengeful Spirit, but it will bring down the 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗏 eventually. The 4 kill streak being ended by the 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗏. A good
Dire's
fight.
bottom tower is under
Picking
attack.
up the 𝗀𝗏𝗃 warrior.
Radiant's middle tower is under
They will try to
attack.
chase the wall. The Abaddon touches his ultimate immediately, trying to prevent them from going on him. The Astral coming out, holding him in place. The Sven trying to beat up the damage and Spirit Breaker, but he's so tanky, and the Tusk going to stun him and bring him down. And once again, because of this, it might be time for Manticore to break off the attack. I think they just have the ultimate on the 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗏 as well, and the 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗏 will fall. He hacks this himself to try to run away, I believe. But the Spirit Breaker was still trying to chase him, the Astral. And I think that just stopped 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗏 off the Sven falling. Everything just goes south. As soon as the Sven falls, they were able to bring down the. What was the first hero they fought? They fought
Dire's
the
bottom
𝗀𝗏𝗃.
tower is
Yeah.
under attack.
But then they just dove a little bit too deep, and as soon as they were able to bring down that Sven, the fight goes the way of Leviathan. I think this is it's kind of the issue with the 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗏 as well, that you're not really you're a hero that kind of has to not be focused. If you're being focused, you can't really do anything anymore. And so the Sven has to be able to attract a lot of aggro, but if the Sven gets taken down, it's problem. And now Leviathan will take a free Roshan. Can't be contested. I think the Sven of God Strength people really
Fallen to the Radiant.
Yeah, but now even with God Strike, they need to play well as a team together to focus on at least one of them at a time. So like, if it was me, I would take down the Bara first because he is annoying. He's just going to be charging at every one of you until you're gone.
Radiant structures
They
are
smoke up
fortified.
immediately. The Aegis being held by the 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗏 right now. And the charge is coming out. I think they got the Sven. It looks like the Vengeful Spirit is brought down the Sven. Maybe the next one to follow. The Vacuum coming in as well. Able to hold the Sven in place, but the 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀, and he won't be able to survive. It looks like they don't have detection, but they will eventually be able to bring him down. And 3 falling on the side of Manticore Leviathan with a very good smoke play right there, using nothing, and able to bring down the tower as well as 3 heroes, including the carry on the side of Manticore. And they would probably want to go for more right now. They still have the Aegis. They're still in a very dominant position right now. Just going to control the Dire Triangle, probably get some wards up, get some vision. Looks like the BKB is going to be the next item for the 𝗀𝗏𝗃. Once that comes out, it's going to be very hard to control this 𝗀𝗏𝗃. Perhaps if they are able to stun him, they may be able to bring him down, but otherwise, as soon as the 𝗀𝗏𝗃 pops the BKB, he's just going to be an issue.
Yeah.
It may be time for if OD has to go to perhaps try building a hack. I think just being able to stop one hero on the side of the Leviathan.
Dire's middle tower.
But even with the hacks, they still have the Aberrant Hypnotic Shield and status resistance on Mara, status resistance on 𝗀𝗏𝗃.
The Sven has the God Strength, trying to focus, trying to bring down the task, and the task will fall. And they may try to go for more, but don't forget the 𝗀𝗏𝗃 does have the Aegis, so he will be happy to take this fight right now. The Astral coming out, trying to hold the 𝗀𝗏𝗃 in place. And because the 𝗀𝗏𝗃 on the team fight right now, they will try to bring down the Spirit Breaker, and if they can get him, they will be able to kite the 𝗀𝗏𝗃. The Aegis falling. Not sure. I think the Spirit Breaker was able to get away, and now the 𝗀𝗏𝗃 is still in the middle of the team fight with his second health. Abaddon close to falling, the Sven still has his God Strength, and one more hit and they will be able to bring down the Abaddon. The 𝗀𝗏𝗃 is getting ready to spike, and the Sven is getting really, really low. The 𝗀𝗏𝗃 very close to bringing him down, the Astral able to keep him alive for a little bit more. The Pangolier chasing down the Spirit Breaker and will end up bringing him down. And the Sven will end up falling in the last hero. 2 heroes standing. Oh no, the last guy. So yeah, the last hero standing was the Darkseer, who does end up falling as well. So it looks like Manticore did end up being able to clean shot. All heroes on the side of Leviathan fell, including the Aegis. So a nice gold swing going the way of Manticore. So much more damage was done in that team fight, especially by that Sven. And that's what you want to see. I mean, having that Sven stay alive for a lot of the fight and just being able to dish out a lot of damage. I think that was their best case scenario. I think the OD also played really, really well in that last team fight, just astraling the 𝗀𝗏𝗃, just kiting him, as well as astraling the Sven also, just keeping him alive whenever he was low.
Also, let's mention the Pangolier as well. He did well that fight. He was rolling around, stunning everyone. As well as casting out his first skill whenever he can to get those debuffs off, especially the disarm and the slow. I think he was crucial in that team fight.
Very well executed by Manticore, and I think this is what they need to do. And just with that team fight, it looks like, I mean, it's now only a 3k net worth advantage for Leviathan, so it's a pretty even playing field. Looks like the Shard being picked up by the Pangolier. So able to do that little pausing the roll.
Free BKB, not pause, it's a free BKB. Just balls up and becomes a free BKB for a bit.
So now Leviathan may decide to play it a bit more safe. I think that's the right call to do. Just wait for the next roll count. This time they will have the Aghanim Stride as well as the BKB. I think they had the BKB in the last fight also, but they were just able to kite the 𝗀𝗏𝗃 really well, the Astral Imprisonment.
Yeah.
Oh, but they instead decide to go for a smoke play, so they will try to go for a more aggressive play. It's a pretty risky play, to be honest, because if they lose this fight, it's going to be pretty significant. They spend this pop the smoke, the ice shot comes out, but it misses. And it looks like they will break off this initiation because they don't want to dive the tier 2.
I think what Leviathan would like to do is to get at least a single hero pick-off before they go for a full team fight.
I think that would have been useful for them to get one hero pick-off, but it's really risky because we're all 5. Like we just saw, Manticore were grouped as all 5. And if a fight broke out there, this is one of Manticore's better
positions.
Right now. Yeah. But it does look like the Crimson Guard, as well as the Guardian Greaves on the Dark Seer, being able to support his team really well with the damage block.
So it's 𝗀𝗵𝗀𝗶𝘀 coming up on the Dark Seer as well. Probably going to try and casting it on either the Sven or the 𝗀𝗶𝗶𝘀.
Dire's bottom tower is under
So
attack.
just a slow siege on the tier 3, it looks like Manticore won't decide to defend it, so it should be a free tower for them, and Manticore only able to have the tier 1 defense, so Leviathan getting the rocket kills here.
Is under attack.
I'm surprised this tier 2 is still standing though. I remember them getting a very good fight here. I totally thought they were going to
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
the
Radiant's
tier 1
top tower has
also
fallen.
going to fall. Leviathan.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is
But
under
we will
attack.
switch it over to mid right now. Not sure how much longer is left for the Roshan respawn, but
Should be up in around 3 minutes. Looks like Manticore are preparing for, just in case the Leviathan team decide to push the tier 2 tower.
smoke play by Manticore instead.
Gold and sweet.
If they can execute it well, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, in the map now, the heroes in Leviathan are pretty much scattered as well.
And if they're able to get, unfortunately the Spirit Breaker is already retreating from top lane, but if they caught the Spirit Breaker, that would have been a very good pickup, but it looks like there might instead be a reverse skirmish if the smoke pops here. They are waiting for Leviathan to walk up onto the high ground. The 𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗀 seems to be leading the charge right now. Very close to popping the smoke. The smoke does pop, but I think it's actually timed out. They might have seen the 𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗀, but the smoke did actually get timed out. The bench immediately buying another smoke. Not sure if they will decide to go for another event. Or if Leviathan might instead be the one that decides to smoke on their side instead. So Manticore does smoke again. The Sven wasn't in range of the smoke. I'm not sure if Leviathan also smoked. Looks like a team fight is breaking out right now. Two men backing off Cambodia. In the middle of the team fight, trying to get left down. The top already brought down the Vector, be the next one to follow. 𝗀𝗏𝗀 dealing a lot of damage, but the Astro coming out, keeping the infiltration alive. The Sven not dealing enough damage, not really looking like he's but they might be able to take it on right now. The shield as well as the ultimate on the 𝗀𝗏𝗀. He will be able to walk it off right now. The 𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗀 also popping his own ultimate, but I'm pretty sure he will end up falling
Radiant's
since he
middle
was left
tower
behind.
is under attack.
So it will be 3 heroes that they will Manticore will be able to pick up. And so I think that's what they needed to do. I think that was their timing. That was, I think, the narrowest net worth difference between the two
Radiant's
teams.
middle tower
And Manticore
has
decided to
fallen.
use the opportunity, and they were able to pull it off. So now it's only a 2k net worth advantage, and Roshan, I think Roshan is already up. I'm not sure if they still have the God Strength to be able to bring it down, but
What can I do in
I think even
return?
with their basic right click physical damage, they can take the Roshan.
yeah, I think they can, but with the 15 seconds left on the respawn from the 𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀, I think it's a little bit too risky. I'm not sure if it looks like they're not in the pit right now, so
Radiant
as a
are
result, it
scanning.
looks like the 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗀𝗀 will probably the Roshan, but that was a good team fight. It looks like charge is being
Has been used on the Pangolier.
and it doesn't end up hitting, but the stun coming up to stop the Spirit Breaker, the swap as well. The Astral. No follow-up right now, the TP as well, just coming up from the injury operation.
Protection on Leviathan side, sadly.
I think both teams knew, both teams didn't want to fight there. Like, it was kind of a hit or miss for both teams. They
Dire
just
are
let it go.
scanning.
Also, in the previous team fight, I think what was key was probably the Sven and counter initiation, but now we have another team fight coming up.
Our team has already stopped. fight going on in the Dire jungle. Spirit Breaker dealing quite a lot of damage to the 𝗲𝗿𝗀𝗵𝗁, but the 𝗲𝗲𝗵𝗁 won't be able to tank his way through it. And extending his shield with the God Strength. Spirit Breaker is getting pretty low. The 𝗲𝗲𝗵𝗁 does already stall, so does the Tusk. The Battle Spirit as well on the stand, dealing quite a lot of damage. The 𝗲𝗏 is probably going to be the next one to fall, but is able to pop the ultimate, and because of that, he won't be able to tank through it. And the stand might instead be the one to fall, but doing so much damage. The BKB as well, and the 𝗲𝗏 will end up falling in Manticore, getting another good team fight. The OD as well, dropping the ultimate, killing two, the Spirit Breaker and the Abaddon. Almost a full team fight, full team wipe, and it looks like it will be a full team wipe. Some the 𝗲𝗿𝗵𝗁 was able to catch that 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗂, and Manticore now getting a 5-man team wipe. Will be the first team to see high ground fortification coming up from Radiant, but that was a really good team fight. I think they executed it really well. I mean, God Strength was up and the Sven was doing so much damage once again. The actual being able to hold them in position. This is another small big off right now.
Radiant's middle tower
Gonna make it a little bit harder for them to defend. But that was just really well played by them. The 𝗲𝗿𝗵𝗁 as well, being able to start coming with them.
Radiant's
It was a really good fight with
barracks
Manticore,
are
and
under
that was
attack.
what we were hoping to see today,
Tower
especially
is
from
under
their
attack.
2-0 loss in the
I
previous
think this
game.
is really disciplined as well right now, getting that melee racks and going straight to Roshan. I think this is exactly what they
Radiant's
need to be
middle
doing.
barracks has
DD
fallen.
Ruin is up also for Roshan. It's great.
Now Manticore with a net worth advantage at 32 minutes into the game. This is a 2k net worth advantage, but this is the first time in two series, or the third game now that we are seeing, that Manticore actually has a mid-game.
Roshan
Yeah.
has fallen to the Dire.
Let's hope they can actually keep up the momentum with this and possibly win the game.
Sven picking up the Aegis, still does have that double damage, but probably don't want to go until the God Strength comes back up. So happy to just farm the jungle right now, maybe get a little bit more vision and just get some map control. But right now, getting that melee racks is great for them. 14 net worth advantage right now with the Roshan.
We see an Eggs and 𝗲𝗏𝗁𝗁 on the OD, so possibly he's going to be playing a bit more of a, what's it called?
What is it called?
He's going to try and cut out them a bit more, especially with the Eggs giving
Radiant's top tower is under
two
attack.
charges on the Astros.
So the second tier 2 tower, the top tier 2 tower being taken down.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Falls with no defense.
Dire's
The
bottom
Leviathan
tower
going to
is
try
under attack.
for a high ground defense, and I think they do have a pretty good high ground defense. So Manticore are probably going to be facing a little bit of trouble here. I'm not sure if they will decide to go. It is probably a good timing to go, but it looks like they will decide to just push out the
Dire's
the
middle
other two
tower
lanes.
is under attack.
They do have the Aegis, but they will have Aegis for a while. So, but it's definitely the time to go while Aegis is still here.
Dire's bottom
The Sven
tower
does have
is under attack.
3k in the bank right now. Not sure what he's going to build.
I think he might want to go for a Satanic to get a bit more durability in fights.
Yeah, I think some survivability, durability would be good. Let's see, let me pick up this.
In general, this dishes out a lot of damage even without much damage items, so I think more survivability would be very good on him.
Leviathan playing pretty aggressively, being out of the base. I'm not sure if this is the right position. It is like Leviathan is falling pretty quickly. The 𝗲𝗏 has already fallen. Sven still very healthy, getting the 2-man stun. Another 2-man stun. 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗂𝗵𝗁 going to get the next one to fall. The OD ultimate as well. The Astro holding the Abaddon in place. And it looks like it's going to be another team wipe for Manticore right now. It's probably the game. I think the 𝗲𝗏 does not have buyback. I think the 𝗲𝗏 does not buyback. So that's probably going to be good because the Sven does have a lot of damage. So it's going to be all on Leviathan and Manticore. Just win their first game against Leviathan.
Dire victory.
Well, that was a comeback for sure. I think it wasn't a huge comeback, but I think Leviathan was definitely in a dominant position, and they were in advantage for quite a lot of the game, but I think it was just a few plays from Manticore that brought them back into the game, and then after that it was just play after play after play, and it wasn't even like a careless plays from Leviathan. It wasn't really pickoffs or which was what was kind of happening from Manticore, where they were kind of like losing their position one. In this case, it was just team fights, and they were actually winning their team fights.
So what do you think really went wrong in that game? How did Leviathan lose their foothold in the game?
I think Manticore they were very good at taking their better team fights. I think the heroes that they had this time, I'm I guess happy to say, previously I felt that Manticore were winning all their drafts, even in the previous series.
Yeah.
And this time I think they had the better draft as well. Leviathan probably with a little bit of a strange draft, and saying a little bit is probably like an understatement also. I mean, considering they had a Spirit Breaker mid, right? It did turn out well, I suppose. The way they played their Spirit Breaker was pretty good. I mean, the Spirit Breaker was able to help the other lanes really well and traded fairly evenly with the OD in the early game. But later in the game, I think Manticore just had the better lineup.
Yeah, they had more damage dealers on their side, especially with the Sven and the OD. And the AA just denying all of this 𝗀𝗏𝗧𝗂𝗵𝗁 lifesteal as well, and the Abaddon ult.
And I think the control as well, like the way the OD played the Astrals were just really, really good. The Pangolier as well. The whole team was just controlling the side of Leviathan. They were able to hold them in place, and because of that, as soon as the Sven was able to, once the Sven wasn't getting picked off anymore, the problem initially was the Sven dying too soon, and whenever the Sven dies, the fight just kind of goes south. And I think Manticore initially made the mistake of not backing out when the Sven dies. Which makes them end up losing more and more heroes, because you just can't win the team fight once the Sven is down. But further on, when the Sven was able to survive throughout the team fight and they were able to dish out so much damage, they couldn't focus on the OD anymore because the Sven was just running at them. And because of that, Manticore was able to get team fight after team fight, and it was team fights that they were getting, not just pickoffs. And as a result, it was 5-man team wipes, like one after another.
Yeah.
I think this is what we wanted to see from Manticore, even earlier on
in the last two games.
In the previous series. This time actually, this was a great game in my opinion. It was really fun to watch. I think in this case, especially because initially it looked like Leviathan was going to carry out their typical game plan.
Yeah. But apparently Manticore had other plans for today.
Yeah, Manticore definitely had other plans for today.
They really stepped up the game this time.
Leviathan, the early game, you'd say, probably pretty similar, right? I mean, in terms of Leviathan getting the upper hand.
Yeah. And from my perspective, I think the laning phase, Manticore and Leviathan almost same. Leviathan took over for a bit, but then Manticore just dominated the game just after that.
I think as well, like what we said previously, the smoke plays, that's what we were talking about last week. Manticore needs to know when to smoke and to be able to get these big team fights. And this time they were able to actually execute it and get these good team fights. And because of that, they were able to get the series today. So right now, 2 series, 1 for 1, 1 for Leviathan, and this week is Manticore's week. Yeah.
So I think that pretty much wraps up our stream for today. And thank you for watching. Come again next time.
Thank you, guys.
Cooking like a pot, yeah, this shit is hot. Popping like a kernel, I was never taught. CBA, never say, I've been on my grind for 7 days. Need a raise, swear to God I'll never be the same. TBH, TBH, yeah, CBA, never say, I've been on my grind for 7 days. Need a raise, swear to God I'll never be the same. TBH, TBH, yeah. Never say, I've been on my grind for 7 days. Need a raise, swear to God I'll never be the same. TBH, TBH, yeah, CBA. Never say, I've been on my grind for 7 days. Need a raise, swear to God I'll never be the same. TBH, TBH, yeah. Pull up walking on these haters. If you wanna talk, then call me later, goddamn. I've been on my grind just like a skater. Hop up on the mic, yeah, I'm creative, catch a vibe.